Barbecue Central Radio Show will air live at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
All right. Good evening and welcome back to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, broadcasting live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evening. First one of the year, gang. How about it? Let's get it on. Got to get it on. Got no choice but to get it on. You want to jump in on the show tonight, you can do so. One of two different ways. It's a toll-free phone call, 877-448-0433. You can also email the show if you would like, Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you did not get the newsletter. By the way, everything else you want to know about the show can be found at the website, thebbqcentralshow.com. Coming up in about 13 minutes from now, there was a regular occurring segment on the now defunct Wednesday show. But on Tuesday, he's here once a month as well, the first Tuesday of each and every month. Ask Dr. Barbecue, Ray Lampe rejoins me. And then around 9:35, the creator of the Outdoor Cooking Channel, Kevin Bevington, is back, and we will be talking about all the good stuff that FBA has to offer and how that Team of the Year thing shook out at the end of the year last year. And we were having quite a lively exchange a couple weeks ago about that whole thing. You would remember that Jim Elser finished ahead of the other two people in the overall, but one of them overcame his lead in the overall Team of the Year standings and took the overall championship. I didn't really understand that, and I gave my general take on how can a team finish ahead of two teams but still on a Team of the Year. Blah, blah. So we got into it a little bit in a good way, in a challenging way, over the emails, and I said, you know what, let's save it. Let's get on the air first show of the year, and let's have at it and see what goes on. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So we're going to do it at 9:35. Then we'll move in the second hour. Joining me, two first-timers to this show, backyarders. The grand champ and the reserve grand champ of the Slap Yo Daddy Harry Sue's Backyarder event. It's Outlaw Barbecue and Rooster Q. Joining me, that would be Steve Botkin of Outlaw, and Taylor Jonasson, and Kevin Schallert from Rooster Q. So we do give a lot of attention to what some would call the pros of the circuit, if you will, and this will definitely give us a little bit more of a taste on the backyard side of things, and looking forward to talking with those guys. And then helping me round out the show, out of the bullpen, as it were, Heath Hall, Pork Barrel Barbecue, is in and what perhaps some would say a very controversial list that Pork Barrel Barbecue put up at the end of the year, pretty much rolling through the majority of December. The 2013 25 most influential people in barbecue. By and large, people debating and giving their 2 cents on who should have been on it and who shouldn't have been on it, and when mistake. The list was great up until this guy, and oh, you had me up until then. This list is bull crap now. So on and so forth. And I said, hey, Heath, you've been generating a lot of controversy as usual. why not, to close it out strong in a strong fashion in 2014 in the first show, come on, let's talk about it, and we'll look at some people's comments, and I'll get some insight from you as to how you and Brent put this list together and what your thought was. And he's like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do that thing. So, huge show planned for the first one right out of the gate. Heath Hall at 10:35. Steve Botkin, Kevin Schallert, Taylor Jonasson from Outlaw Barbecue and Rooster Q, respectively. And at 9:35, Kevin Bevington. 9:14, Dr. Barbecue, Ray Lampy for the Ask Dr. Barbecue segment. Plus your phone calls and emails. And, of course, we have 2 giveaways at some point tonight as well. 877-448-0433. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. The 2 bits of contact information in case you want to jump in with me. Make your Facebook post right now. Let everybody know the show's on. You get in the audio feed at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com, which just showed up on my ticker right there. And then, obviously, you can get the video at outdoorcookingchannel.com. If you have Roku, download the Outdoor Cooking Channel app. Get it there as well. And, of course, a myriad of replay opportunities. Subscribe to the show on iTunes. You can go to YouTube. You can go to Outdoor Cooking Channel, of course, the main website, all that great stuff. So, and don't forget, you can get the meat, your barbecue meats from me right at the Barbecue Central Meat Show. Big announcement. You heard it here first. First show of 2014 in the new Barbecue Central Radio Network studio. Finally, we have come back. Finally, we have come back to the old, well, now the new confines. Well, the old in a very new way. But the new confines of the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios. This is the first time that we have broadcast from this basement, although for the last 7 weeks we were broadcasting live and direct from the basement of Amy and Ed Levon's house, of the Wycliffe Levons, which I owe them dear, allowing me to do that show while the house was in transition. But we are now in the basement, as you would know. And really, you wouldn't know if I was doing the show from a basement or high atop the Stolen Police Recovery Network building in the middle of the street, because I got the green screen thing working. But let me see here. Did I screw? Yeah, okay, I screwed that all up. Well, first of all, that's a different camera angle, but I gotta get this shot ready for a little bit later in the show. Perfect. So take it from me. It's new show. We're here. Well, not a new show, but it's a new studio. So, I can't wait for somebody to finally come in. Finally, for somebody to come in and experience the new studio. There's plenty of room here. And, boy, am I just overjoyed to be back at my own house. And although I, again, appreciate the fact that I was able to do the show at somebody else's house, in the meantime, being able to end the show and just go right up to bed instead of making a car trip, gravy in my book. So first show in. It's all good. It's 2014. Hope everybody had a great Christmas, New Year's, and so forth, and you're ready for a great year of barbecue shows. Let me tell you who's not ready for a great year of barbecue shows. That would be a barbecue in Jacksonville, Florida. That can kill you. For instance, early Sunday, a man who police were told had been beaten in the head with a baseball bat was found conscious but unable to speak and rolling on the floor at his house at the 11,000th block of North Santa Fe Street on the south side. Another man at the house, when police arrived shortly after midnight, told them Joshua Andrew Hines, 31, who was taken to the hospital but soon died from the injuries, had invited guests over to watch Saturday football playoffs. Playoffs? Obviously not in Cleveland. Late in the night, after most of the other guests had gone, Hines and another man began arguing over the proper cutting of barbecue. The witness said he tried to calm the dispute down, then turned away when he looked back after hearing a noise. The other man, who was identified as Chico, of course, was holding a baseball bat that normally was propped at the front of the door, and Hines was on the floor. Sorry. Get that big stuff out of here. Look, if it's one thing I know that you don't want to talk about, religion, politics, and how to cut barbecue. Never do that.
Big stuff out of here.
Perhaps not necessarily in that order. Perhaps you'd never want to talk about how to cut barbecue properly first, and then, religion, politics, whatever. But those who know, and it should be fair warned in advance, don't talk how to cut barbecue with other people unless you are ready to take Louisville Sluggers to the melon and die. And die. I know some of you are, but if some of you are ready to stake your very lives on the proper cutting of barbecue, well, you might want to move down to Jacksonville and stir it up a little bit. Dr. Barbecue coming up out of the break. Gang, if you missed out on the holiday season savings, you are now in the proverbial doghouse because you screwed it all up again. Luckily for you, merely 6 days after the beginning of the new year, Stephen DeFranco is still here to help, still here to make sure that while you missed some really big days the last couple weeks, you can still have time to turn it around. First of all, visit his website, StephenDeFranco.com. That's Stephen, D-I-F-R-A-N-C-O, StephenDeFranco.com. And then peruse the inventory. Of course, Steve is a watchaholic. I've purchased 2 of my watches from Steve directly. The Bulova Accutron, the Bulova Precisionist. One is the very high end of the high end. The other one is the most accurate watch ever on the face of the earth. And you can peruse the whole inventory right there. Now, once you found what you like, do me this favor. Call in directly. 440-943-2700. That's 440-943-2700. And once you make that call and ask for Steve, if he doesn't answer directly. Steve is the owner of the store. He's not a sales guy. He's not somebody who's going to say, let me go ask the manager. He owns it. He makes final decisions. You've reached the decision maker. Say, hey, Steve, I listen to the show all the time. Reppy's always talking about how I should call you. You have great quality. You're not going to oversell me on anything. And that, hey, you're the guy. Plus, you're going to hook me up with a great price. And then let him take over from there. He's going to ask you questions along the way. He's going to offer you maybe free engraving on the watch. Of course, you have the free gift wrapping. The batteries for life. We'll set it to whatever time zone you're in. As a sense, of course, shipping always free on all items. Maybe you're looking for rings or chains or necklaces, anklets, artisan wood bowls, Venetian glass jewelry, the Pandora-style bracelets, all there at Stephen DeFranco's. Again, StephenDeFranco.com. Stephen, D-I, StephenDeFranco.com, and call 440-943-2700. All right, we're back with Ask a Dr. Barbecue right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, we're back. 877-448-0433. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Email in from John Dawson. Congrats on the new palatial BCRN studio. Thank you. I appreciate that. Of course, I'll have to get my reciprocal concealed carry permits first in order to swing by John Giddett. You're not going to be sorry. You won't be sorry that you did. I swear. All right, let me make sure that I have my proper items here. And oh, jeez. All right, hold on a second. I almost screwed up right away. Nobody's going to be able to hear Dr. Barbecue if I don't do that right. All right. Let's go ahead and get this thing going right now.
If you got questions about barbecue or grilling, maybe as a hobby or even a business,
Hey, Greg.
looking to get an expert's point of view, why not ask Dr. Barbecue? You can submit your questions by clicking on the Ask Dr. Barbecue tab on the website. The doctor is in. Here's Ray Lampy with his nurse, Greg Rempe. Dr. Barbecue.
That's right. It is Dr. Barbecue time, ladies and gentlemen. Ray, how are you, buddy?
Good, Greg. How about yourself?
Doing absolutely fabulous, Ray. Happy New Year to you. Hopefully we're finding you in good tidings and spirits.
I'm very good. I've got a little free time coming up and a little vacation. Finished up the last of last year's work yesterday, so all is well.
All right. There was if I'm not mistaken, you were doing that big promotion with the website that I was very long in nature, and I'm not going to remember. What was it?
Cookoffbeforekickoff.com.
That's right, Cookoff Before Kick. So how did that end up going for you, Ray?
It was great. We actually finished it up Sunday. We were out in Pasadena for the BCS championship game. It was great. I mean, we gave away more. We were giving away Coke Zeros and samples. We did 125 recipes and came down to the Auburn recipe, which was a pimento cheese stuffed jalapeno wrapped in bacon.
Oh.
And a M&M quesadilla, cream cheese smeared on a flour tortilla, bunch of M&Ms in there and grilled. And everybody that came up tried the two samples. Every now and then we'd sit somebody down and judge it, and we had a blast with it. It was really a lot of fun.
Which one ended up taking it?
The pimento cheese stuffed jalapeno wrapped in bacon was the big winner this week.
Wow. Man, that sounds like it would go very tasty with a brewski or five.
Yeah, that was the Auburn recipe, though. No, actually, it went much better with a Coke Zero, Greg.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Coke Zero, of course. Well placed. Well placed. Ray, a number of different things that we're going to be hitting on tonight. The first thing I wanted to get your opinion on, because I've actually been fielding a lot of emails from people asking me to take a look at their barbecue pitmaster submission videos, and there's a new season that's going to be out there. Have you ever given thought to getting on that version of the show? I mean, I know many lifetimes ago that was a different story, but as it sits currently in the format that it is, have you ever thought about getting on that bad boy?
I was thinking about it today because you told me you were going to ask me that, but no, I'm not going to make a video. I mean, they know where I am. They've got enough video of me. I always joke that they call me every time they want Myron to cook. But I don't know. Like I said, they know where I am. I was on the original ones way back in the day, and I had a contract for the first season of Pitmasters, and it was just kind of restrictive. And I was doing Tailgate Warriors, and I just couldn't do it. And I just have never reconnected with him. I talk to John all the time, and of course we did that CBS show that became Pitmasters, where I was a judge, but technically not Pitmasters. I did Smoke this year where Mo and Myron were cooking, but technically not Pitmasters. So I probably won't be sending in a video, though. However, I was thinking about it. I was thinking if they wanted to do a old timers version, I'd probably be interested in doing it.
Have you already progressed to the old timers game of barbecue, Ray?
Well, no, I hate to admit that, actually, but I just thought that would be fun to grab a couple guys that don't cook all the time anymore, that it might be fun to drag some of us out of the retirement. But I'm not technically retired. I'm actually going to cook Lakeland with Fast Eddie in a couple of weeks. So I'm not retired at all.
Is the TV landscape potentially becoming a little diluted with similar style barbecue shows?
Well, not so much the shows. I think like Danielle's show is definitely different. It's got a whole different feel to it.
Yeah.
When we did Smoked, I mean, that sure looked like Pitmasters to me. I don't know. I mean, I think there's enough room for it. What really bothers me is I'd like to see somehow the cooking be a little more diverse. I'd like to see an episode where nobody puts fake butter on their ribs and claims to have invented it or that was their secret. I'd like to somehow see a little bit more diverse and creative cooking. I realize that's what wins in the contest world, and I understand all that. And frankly, I might get blamed for creating some of it, but I wish we could get the guys to do something a little different on TV.
Perhaps the fault should be placed more on, dare I say, the judge than the cook, because you're obviously preparing the meat that you're cooking in competition for somebody else to taste it. A lot of these guys would sit here and tell you that what they're preparing in competition in no way reflects what they would make in the backyard. So maybe we need to eliminate the judges that are used to competition barbecue and bring in seasoned culinary palates, but not necessarily related to competition barbecue winning flavor profiles as they sit right now.
Yeah, it's been a long road that created this. I was in California the other day and had dinner with Jeffrey Saad. Remember Jeffrey from Next Food Network star? And he said, "What's it like to see this all growing up around you? You've been doing it for so long." And he's right, and I have been. And I remember the days when we would show up with some meat and cook it and hope for the best. And then guys started to manipulate the judging. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I certainly was part of that. It's come so far, and little by little we chipped away at the judges. Let's even just talk about chicken thighs.
Yeah.
We didn't always cook chicken thighs. We used to cook all whole chickens, chicken parts, wings, legs, thighs, whatever. Little by little it became just thighs. And I'm not saying that a thigh isn't the best part, but little by little that became the norm. Now a judge, gosh, how many judges have been certified since all we serve is thighs? I mean, thousands of them. They've never seen anything legitimately turned in except the thigh. So it just became the norm. And I don't know how you stop it. I agree with you. I think if the judges didn't reward those sweet ribs with Blues Hog on them, and everybody wouldn't keep turning them in. I'm not saying they're not good. I don't know what you can do. I see Sterling's got that new contest, the guinea pig contest, where he's going to give everybody the meat. I think it's a really good idea, and I think it's a cool idea. But I would like to see everybody go a step further. So let's say you can't bring any rubs. There's a pantry full of spices. You got to make your own rub. I'd love to see something like that. That's how it used to be when I started. I was one of the first guys that actually sold rub because we all just made our own. And I don't know how you can do it though. I mean, it's hard to say that what they're doing is wrong. It just disappoints me that there's so little creativity.
Ray Lampe joining us here on the show. We're doing our now monthly Ask Dr. Barbecue segment. The website, if you want to go to and submit a question to us, askdrbbq.com, or if you just want to visit Ray's site to catch up on what he's doing, drbbq.com. Ray, let me ask you something here. And, obviously, you know a lot about products. You've seen a billion things come and go over the years in relation to the industry of barbecue. And I was watching Shark Tank about a month or so ago, and there's a guy who's actually from this neck of the woods, Al Bubba Baker. He played many years for the Detroit Tigers before he ended his career here in Cleveland.
The Lions,
with
right?
The Lions, whatever. I'm a Browns fan, and that's it, which has been painful. But he ended his career here in Cleveland, and he has actually patented, he holds a patent for boneless baby back ribs. And I believe they're technically termed back rib steak. But as someone who has seen, as I said, a lot of different products go through the barbecue market, do you think that if baby back ribs would have the bones taken out of them, that more people would decide to eat them? Or do you think that, and look, let's be honest, two sharks were battling over his product when it was all said and done, and he did end up making a deal. But are people going to eat more ribs because there's no bones?
They might, man. I looked at that video today. I couldn't find the actual episode, but there's a promo video from Bubba Baker and his daughter basically laying out what they were going to say to the shark. So I think I got the gist of what the deal was. It's a pretty cool product. You got to, in a world of people who like to buy stuff and microwave it, I'm going to tell you it looked like it'd be pretty good. There's no bones in it. If you saw how they served it, they had some cut into like strips, like ribs. They had some cut into chunks, like putting a toothpick in it. One, like a half of that hunk was on a sandwich. Hell, I sure wanted to eat that. And one you would eat with a knife and fork. I thought it was cool, man. I was really kind of surprised. But I got to tell you, we did the cook-off before kickoff thing. We were in, I don't even remember. And ribs was one of our categories in Atlanta. And Z-Man, John Ziegler from Arizona or from Louisiana, he did that. He took a slab of spare ribs, took all the bones out of it, and then cut it in chunks so we could sample out ribs to hundreds of people. So I hope he didn't violate that guy's patent.
Yeah, I was going to say, and he wouldn't go into detail because everybody, of course, all the sharks wanted to know, well, how are you getting the bones out of the back ribs that you're using? And evidently that's where the whole patent comes in. I mean, obviously he doesn't hold the patent on baby back ribs. That would be ridiculous. But whatever his process is, I mean, have you seen attempts at removing bones and marketing boneless ribs before? And we're not talking about the McRib here, but actual boneless back ribs.
No, the only time I've ever seen it done, I've seen restaurants take, like yesterday's ribs, take the bones out and cut the meat into strips and put it on a sandwich. So sort of like a real rib sandwich. And I've seen guys do it on the internet, to make a big rib sandwich. I think Phil from the Barbecue Brethren took a whole slab, took all the bones out and put it on a giant hoagie roll and made a sandwich. I've seen guys goofing around it, but I've never seen it in a business like that. I mean, I think everybody will. I can't imagine what his patent is, how he could tell people they can't take the bones out of the rib before they serve it. So I think it'll spread. I think you'll see it. I've not seen it before in a restaurant, but I think it will catch on. And, the other thing you got to think about, we've got those giant slabs of back ribs now. The restaurants don't want any part of those things. They want to give you a whole slab that weighs 1.25 pounds. You go to Sam's Club, you're getting a 3.5 pound slab of ribs. It's sort of a practical way to cut that thing into 4 pieces. I also don't want 3 bones, but 3 bones, as you know, on one of them things is a 1.5 pound hunk of ribs. It's a pretty good way to make that gigantic slab into a whole bunch of servings. So I really think from a business point of view, I think it's a pretty cool idea. And yes, I do think people will buy it. It's still going to cost a whole lot more than one of them nasty patties, though. And that's going to be the problem, I think.
Yeah, well, that kind of dovetails nicely into my next question. We're talking with Ray Lampe, Dr. Barbecue. And this is one that I've actually wanted to ask you about probably for the last month or 2 months, which is there seems to be, especially over this past year, a lot of fast food chains jumping into the barbecue scene, offering such succulent treats as the McRib, as I had mentioned before, various pulled pork sandwich variations, and, of course, that newest one that Arby's came out with this summer, which was the smokehouse brisket sandwich. I guess, first things first, which of any of those have you tried? What's good and what's passable and what should go and die? And I guess, what are your thoughts on the business model at hand for these fast food chains trying to introduce the barbecue?
Well, I think trying to introduce barbecue is really a good thing. I think we should all be proud of that it has come that far, that Burger King really sees it as a legit category and has jumped in a big way. Arby's as well, and our friend is actually in the commercial. How much of it have I tried? Well, I've always eaten McRibs. I do like them. I probably claim to like them more than I actually do, but just for the sake of argument, I will go on the side of McRibs are good. Burger King, earlier this year, I had a contract on my desk to do a small project as the spokesman for the Burger King first wave of barbecue sandwiches. So I went over to the local Burger King and figured I better eat this stuff and see what it's like. And it was bad. The pulled pork sandwich was so sweet. Have you eaten one of those things?
No, never.
It was so sweet. It was like I couldn't eat it. It was so. And then I ate a burger with barbecue sauce on it or something. I don't even remember. And they then, I had the contract, and then they disappeared and they pulled out on me. It was one of 2 things. I think they probably just knew my heart wasn't in it. I was going to take the money, and I thought it would be good exposure, but man, my heart wasn't in it. I got to be honest. It was either that or they just knew I wasn't very influential in the barbecue world. So
let me ask you this better question. Yeah, of course I did. I'm not even going to dignify that for 1 second. When, let's say they didn't pull the contract out for whatever reason, they left it out there, and you said you were going to take it. At what point where does the internal struggle take place where you know what's good and you know what Dr. Barbecue's brand is going to be out there endorsing, and on the other side you're like, man, it's Burger King, it's one of the biggest chains out there, and on top of that, the cash is pretty good, and now you have this internal struggle of, am I going to Hold on.
I'll just host the show from here, Greg. Don't worry about it. think he had let the dog in or something. Okay, I'll just answer the question. Yes, there is an internal struggle because you don't want to, managing the world of being Dr. Barbecue is something you want to think about, and you have to be true to who you are. And that's probably why it fell through, because my heart wasn't in it. But from a business point of view, hey, sometimes you got to take the money. It's part of being an entrepreneur. But also, I think it was so far out there that nobody was going to take it serious. So I wasn't really that worried about it. Sandy was more worried about it than I was. I didn't think there was anyone was going to take it seriously. So I was willing to do it. And I would have had to shut my mouth for the extended period of time. That's how those contracts are written. I also, one time I was almost the spokesman for the barbecue crock pot. Remember that thing?
Oh, yeah.
And similar thing happened. They pulled out at the last second. And I think, once again, they really just knew my heart wasn't in it.
Ray Lampe joining us here on the show. Sorry, Ray, I had to take off there because my kid fell down the stairs.
Yeah, the show must go on, Greg. I rolled through.
First time with a house that actually has stairs in it, going from a ranch house to a colonial. And, well, sometimes kids fall right down the goddamn stairs while you're doing the show. Make sure nobody broke a neck. Ray Lampe joining us here on the show. Ask drbbq.com if you want to submit a question to us, or drbbq.com, which is Ray's website. I hate to call out the general consuming public, but I'm going to. Why not? It's 2014, New Year. Let's keep insulting people. Are all of these offerings, through the fast food and stuff, just lazy people eating substandard barbecue? And it doesn't have to be like that, right? I mean, you can put a little effort into it, make it at home, and enjoy something that's 10 times better than just going through a drive-through line.
Well, I think, of course, but we're foodies. We're barbecue guys, too. We're food freaks. That's what we eat. We want to have the genuine item of something. We want to have the real deal. Go walk down the pizza aisle. You can buy a pizza for like $1.29 in the frozen food section. And throw it in your toaster oven, and people are eating those things by the millions. So to me, it's sort of an indication that barbecue has really arrived and become a legitimate category that people want to eat all the time. So I think it's a good thing. Anybody that really wants barbecue and wants to know about barbecue, it's just like the pizza guy. People don't eat those. I don't eat those pizzas. I don't know if you do, but you don't eat that and think it's real pizza, but it shows you how important that category is. So that's how I think it really is. You look at all that. We've got it in the grocery stores too. We talked about it before, that Jack Daniel's stuff, and there's, everybody's got their name on some barbecue, and the stuff's really not very good. But I just think it's a compliment. People want barbecue and they don't know how to get it. They don't know how to cook it. And there it is in front of them, and they buy it.
All right, Ray, a couple minutes left, and of course we're going to be talking with Heath Hall at Pork Barrel Barbecue in about an hour, and going over his 2013 list of 25 most influential people in barbecue. Noticeably absent, one Dr. Barbecue Ray Lampe. How dare they? You don't have to address that at all. I know you're much bigger than that, Ray, but did you have a chance to look over the list, and what did you like and what didn't you like?
I did look at the list. I did follow along. I think it was a really smart thing for Heath and those guys to do. I wish I'd have thought of it. It was a great idea. It's tough. How do you possibly? There's no real black and white criteria for who's on that list and who isn't. So they did the best they could. Good for them. Are you exercising?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I had an itch.
They did what they could. Oh, whatever. I really think John Marcus, I was glad to see John up there high. John deserves it. Would there be barbecue pitmasters without John Marcus? Maybe, but probably not. John has driven that bus from day one, certainly deserves to be there. Myron, God bless him, man. Myron is the hardest working man in barbecue. He certainly deserves to be there. It was good to see some of the old names on there. It's good for everybody. I like seeing it. Congrats to them.
Ray Lampe joining us here. Again, it'll be the first Tuesday, I almost said Monday, first Tuesday of every month for our Ask Dr. Barbecue segment. Again, check him out at drbbq.com. Ray, appreciate you helping me kick off the new year in style, and we'll look for you again next month.
Always a pleasure, Greg. You take care.
All right, you too. There he is, Ray Lampe, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Barbecue. Look at this class act taking the high road when a lot of people were like, man, that Ray Lampy fellow should have been on that list. Good for Ray. All right, Kevin Bevington, Home Barbecue, coming up right after this. Also, creator of Outdoor Cooking Channel. Again, let me talk to you quickly about Tasty Licks Barbecue Supply, trusted online retailer of this show, longtime supporter of this show as well. I speak with Fred quite often, and he wants me to make sure that you are still aware of what is happening over at his store in, I would dare I say, tropical Shillington. Nobody's saying tropical. And it was like negative 10 degrees here today before the wind chill. Tasty Licks is carrying Kamado Joe cookers, Meadow Creek cookers, spices, sauces, accessories, many of these items already in stock, ready to ship to you directly. Have you been looking for Oak Ridge brines and rubs? Have you been looking for the complete line of Plowboys rubs and sauces? How about Smoke on Wheels products? Tasty Licks has them all, and of course you know by now the Tasty Licks Barbecue is your big green egg headquarters, including many items for the egg you can't get anywhere else. And these big green egg parts are in stock. Fred contracts with people. And the mind is always working with the smoking guitar player. Not only is he writing award-winning songs specifically for the show and Competition Barbecue, but he's thinking, what would make the big green egg better that's not already out there? And he finds these people, they contract together, and he gets these accessories made that you can't get anywhere else, and they're ready to go. Also, Tasty Licks Barbecue Supply now carrying Harry Sue's new chicken rub. He's got the big injection makers out there, including my guy, Butcher Barbecue, Dave Bosca. Carries the Barbecue Guru, their associated accessories, of course, Green Mountain Grills. He does classes. I believe he's got a big class that is going off in 2 months' time, if I'm not mistaken. I forget who the pitmaster is going to be out there in Shillington, but it's going to be top name. I'll get that information for you. It was like last call on Twitter and the Facebook recently. And attention teams, Tasty Licks, your competition headquarters as well. All supplies for competition teams, pans in different sizes, aluminum trays, gloves, thermometers, turn-in boxes for practice. Make it your one-stop shop. TastyLicksBarbecue.com is the place to go. Head on over right now. Enjoy the videos that Fred puts up, and there are plenty of them to enjoy. And don't forget that Tasty Licks manufactures their own lines of rubs and sauces as well. Got to try those. When you order, drop Fred a line that you heard about him on this show and let him know you appreciate the support of the show. You're going to support him right back with your order. TastyLicksBBQ.com. That's TastyLicksBBQ.com. We're back with Kevin Bevington right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Big B, Moonshine Band, Suburban Waste Records. Let's go! I'm an outlaw. Give me 2 shots. We don't need a radio. Bring a jukebox. For my outlaws, bring me 3 shots.
All right, we're back. 877-448-0433. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. My thanks to Ray Lampy for joining me last segment. You know, you might recall at the end of last year we had 2 great races for Team of the Year, one in KCBS, one in FBA. And the FBA decision, to me, was one that I really couldn't wrap my brain around fully. And I got into a discussion with my next guest about to kind of work through some of this stuff, and we went back and forth through emails, and I said before, I was like, hey, let's stop. Let's do a little segment on this, little lunch and learn, if you will. So let's go ahead and welcome back the creator of the Outdoor Cooking Channel, pitmaster of Home Barbecue Cooking Team, Kevin Bevington, joining me here on the show. Kevin, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Greg. How are you doing?
Doing absolutely fabulous, Kevin. Happy New Year to you.
Yeah, same to you.
Thank you very much. Kevin, let me ask you a question here before we get into this stuff where you make me look like a complete idiot. Is it home BBQ or home barbecue?
Well, obviously either way. It was BBQ, but some people call BBQ barbecue.
And for the people that really know you, it's just home.
No, not really. I mean, there were some contests where they actually did theme music, and I remember one time they did Home on the Range.
Oh,
we go to the stage.
Wonderful. Kevin Bevington.
Yeah, wonderful, yeah.
Yeah, right. Kevin Bevington joining me here on the show, creator of Outdoor Cooking Channel and homebbq.com, of course. Kevin, I was talking to Jim Elser towards the end of the year last year for competition. There was this big race of Team of the Year at Florida Barbecue Association, and obviously, you're well vested and knowledgeable about FBA on a number of different levels for a lot of people that don't know, but I don't know if we disagreed or not, but I just couldn't understand this. Obviously, I don't really understand how the points work, so we can probably work through that a little bit. But it seemed a little unfathomable to me to have a team who was in the lead at the end of the competition finish ahead of the other two teams, but one of the teams that was overall behind him because of some of the meat categories, better finishing, leaped forward and ended up taking Team of the Year, which was Hot Wachulas. So obviously congratulations to him. But just from an outsider's perspective, if you were me, kind of inadequate with the brains, do you see where it seems a little awkward to me on how a team could finish like that and then not win Team of the Year on top of that?
Yeah, I guess I can see that. First, I want to say congrats to Matt Barber. He, if anybody's paid their dues, it's him. He's been around a long time.
Oh yeah,
and I was thrilled to see him win that. But yeah, I could see that. I mean, but at no point is that based on total points, where a contest is based on total points, and the FBA Team of the Year is actually based on placement in categories and overall. So that's where your difference comes. I mean, you obviously there was I didn't see the scores of the contest, so obviously there was some, maybe Jim was way ahead of Matt in one particular category, and that's why he placed higher overall in points. But in the scheme of things and how that placed in that particular category, it didn't play out the same way. But I see that a lot of times people want the drama. They want that last contest to, play out, and they like the drama of things. But the contest, the last contest is done the same way as the first one. And it's not any more important than the first one is. And that's a long road. I mean, these guys are cooking a lot of contests. That's a huge investment. It's a hell of a commitment. And, so I think there was, I don't know, 24 or 30 contests or whatever, and that's, I mean, to those that do this all the time, they're so used to doing it. But if you were to think about that and, the amount of investment that takes and, just the time that it takes out of your life to do that, that's a commitment. So that award needs to encompass that commitment.
Kevin,
I mean, it needs to be about that. So it needs to be from beginning to end and not necessarily be decided in one contest.
Kevin Bevington joining me here on the show. I mean, obviously the point system between, let's say, a KCBS is different than the Florida Barbecue Association. Why does the FBA point system work and kind of eliminate the drama, if you will, and should other sanctioning bodies, if they aren't similar in methodology, work towards something similar to this?
I don't know that it eliminates the drama. I mean, the drama was the same. It wasn't total points, okay? And that's kind of really what I wanted to say was, Jim finished up higher in the overall results of that contest, and in your mind, he should have won that, and it just wasn't about the overall points, the total points. So I don't want to take away from the drama because you had a number of guys competing to the end in that race, so there were a lot of people, waiting, for the results, so now also, KCBS has gone through changes throughout the years on the way their Team of the Year, points were done as well. I mean, theirs were never about total points either, so, at one point it was, your best 5 contests, and then there was, single, double, and triple points based on the number of teams in those contests. And, I did it one year. I don't know how many other people did it, but, in '04, I only did 5 KCBS contests and I somehow landed in the top 10.
Yeah.
And, and that really probably shouldn't have happened. That isn't really that it doesn't encompass in my mind what team of the year should be. So they did an overhaul, and it rewards the ones that compete a lot now, I believe, so that's really the way it should be.
Right, so
and there's other things that, like in FBA, we did the Triple Crown, which was more of a tournament style thing, which had more drama to it, had more of the things that you want, like the Sam's Club has that, with KCBS.
Is Team of the Year now, or you said maybe it shouldn't have applied to you when you did so well in those competitions, as far as the overall Team of the Year is concerned. But I mean, why should a team? I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. Should you have to do like a minimum amount of competitions to really truly judge who the Team of the Year cook should be, like 20 contests or more? Or why not? If you go to competitions and if you only did 5 and you scored out of your mind on those 5, is there not an argument to be made that you should be Team of the Year because you did 5 and somebody else did 40?
Well, there's a lot of criteria, a lot of that that you're kind of skipping over there, that in terms of how things are scored. But I have to agree with the second part of what you stated. I mean, in terms of not saying there has to be a minimum amount of contests. If one person cooks 10 and another person cooks 30 and he's able to compete on the same level, then go for it based on whatever criteria is there. But but one thing has to be said. It's an entire year. I mean, it has to encompass that entire year. And I know in FBA, what we tried to keep away from was not having somebody jump out in front. Next thing you know, you've got a 1-horse race, and then you've got no interest, and you've got people not showing up to contests, that kind of thing.
Kevin Bevington joining me here on the show. Kevin, in staying with the Florida Barbecue Association, you've obviously seen it from its infancy. You were past president. What kind of a position is the FBA in right now? What do you like that's good, and what do you think might need a tweak or two to keep it going in the right direction?
Well, I'm sorry to admit, but I haven't been keeping up with things like I probably should have, so it's tough for me to answer that question. I know FBA is more popular these days than they've ever been, and that's fantastic. So obviously things are being done right in order for that to happen. I'm not real clear as far as how many members there are right now, but I know the organization has grown a lot, and it seems to have a huge participation now in terms of the amount of teams. A lot of great teams are competing now. Hopefully I can stop having these health issues and falling and breaking kneecaps or whatever, to where I can get back out and do this again. I really would like to do that at some point here, is jump back out and start doing this again.
Could you see yourself doing a 2025 event season, given the health and everything?
Well, I mean, the health has just been a series of unfortunate mishaps. I mean, I did have, which stopped me from competing, I guess, in 2008. I did have, legitimate health concerns back then, which slowed me way down. And, but, lately it's just been, accidents, like this kneecap thing. And, I had 6 months ago, I had another leg thing happen with my leg as well. So hopefully these things stop at some point. And I'd like to get back out at some point.
Kevin, let's quickly transition. I'm sure everybody in the FBA doesn't want you to do it because of the dominance that you had over there for 5+ year span. But nevertheless, let's quickly transition over to the Outdoor Cooking Channel with the remaining time. We've launched it. We've had this great simulcast relationship for a number of months now, as you'd like me to say. Is the channel meeting your expectations, and what's new in 2014 that we might be able to expect and enjoy in the months ahead?
Well, I would like to have more content, and I'm going to stick it out there for anybody that's producing video or to please, and they want to get it in front of a lot of people to please get in touch with me. But things have been a little slow in terms of of me, and I think I'm to blame with, like, say, this, the mishaps that I keep having here. But one real positive thing has been the Roku channel. I mean, it's just under 90,000 subscribers now.
Wow.
Which is pretty huge. And I think you knew I did a holiday outdoor cooking section on there, and that was actually really a huge success. Got a lot of views in there. And 2014, I'm really looking at distribution, looking at apps, and getting more places. And that's really kind of my focus is getting more apps done and getting more distributed in that respect.
Are you surprised, Kevin, that with the outlet that you have, the viewerships that you're attracting, and the different platforms that you can watch on now, and obviously you're looking to even grow on that this show, the Barbecue Central Show, is the only live show on the channel? And perhaps, is that not a testament to not how awesome this show is, but how unawesome the rest of the shows out there in the barbecue entertainment world is?
I'm not going to say I'm awesome on anybody, but what you do is hard, and not everybody can do that. So, hats off to you. That's for sure.
Pork Barrel Barbecue put out a top 25 most influential list in 2013. Did you have a chance to look at it, and do you have any thoughts?
I did look at it, and I didn't follow it, so it's a tough judgment call for me. I'm not sure what all went into it. So I that was really the first time I had seen it when you pointed me to it. I think the number one pick, I agree with 100%. Okay, so which I believe, if I understood that right, he was talking about the backyard cook, which I agree with 100%. And I saw some names I certainly agree with being in there. Obviously, everybody's got their opinions on who should be where and so forth. I noticed there was a noticeable absence of you or me on there. That was for sure.
Yeah, what the hell? Jeez. Crazy.
All kidding aside, there's some others that I thought probably should have been in there, but that kind of thing, who knows what kind of criteria it took in terms of, who made it on the list, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, that kind of thing's a huge undertaking. I mean, he obviously did a great job getting it up there. And, like I said, I mean, there were some people on there that I thought certainly deserved to be in there.
Kevin Bevington is the creator of the Outdoor Cooking Channel. Of course, you can find that as you're watching OutdoorCookingChannel.com. Kevin, always appreciate the time, and thanks for setting me straight here tonight.
Thanks for having me on, Greg.
Take care. There he is, Kevin Bevington. OutdoorCookingChannel.com and HomeBBQ.com. Kevin had really now, Kevin and I go back 6, 7, I think it's the 7th year of the live shows, or the 6th year, whatever. So I think right when I started, well, it was even before that, I was doing the recorded podcast shows when he was president of the Florida Barbecue Association, 2 terms, I believe. At that point, he was 3 years into a 5-year dominance of winning Team of the Year in the Florida Barbecue Association 5 times in a row. And 1 or 2 times, I think 1 year he was 5th overall in the KCBS, and he had won Team of the Year in the FBA. So, for the folks that can remember back into the early 2000s, mid-2000s, when Kevin was really out there cooking, for the people that are being truthful, I don't know if there was a much better cook out there who was being as dominant in multiple sanctioning bodies as Kevin was, plus taking an active interest in growing the fledgling Florida Barbecue Association at that point. So I always appreciate Kevin coming on, and great talking with him. Gang, if you are like me, you're always looking for ways to step the barbecue and grilling game up, right? Of course you are. That's why I have to tell you that you should be looking at Butcher Barbecue right now, butcherbbq.com. Order the fine products. If you need some type of justification, how about looking at Dave's competition results? How about looking at his success in business, his broad sweeping products, like, of course, those injections, the pork, the beef, the prime injection, of course, the bird booster. That beef injection uses the award-winning flavor enhancer and its ability to keep your briskets juicy, and then they combine that with the competition standard and beef flavor. That turns into, of course, the Prime injection, which you can get at butcherbbq.com. Of course, it is a go-to place for rubs and sauces. You have hit the mother load here. Friends, it's a brisket rub. It is the honey rub. That garnered a lot of attention when Dave was on. What the hell? Am I off? Am I off the air here? Am I on the air? Rep, it looks like the picture of him in the post office. Hey, what are you talking about? Looks like I just lost my interwebs connection. I'm still recording, though, so I'm going to go. We're going to do it live! That's right, the chat was more interesting. Now, perhaps you're looking, again, the go-to rubs and sauces, of course. Last but not least, Butcher Barbecue, the sweet barbecue sauce. Look, when it comes to sauce, I'm as picky as it gets. And Butcher Sweet Sauce wins in every category for me. Not overly sweet, a nice slice of tang, and the right amount of back-end heat. For crying out loud, no liquid smoke. There's time, there's effort, and that's why the sauce is great. Head over to butcherbbq.com right now. That's butcherbbq.com. Stock up right now. Again, that's butcherbbq.com. Butcher's Barbecue. Always trust your butcher. We're back to wrap up the first hour right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, we're back, 877-448-0433. David Qualls, Greg, do you wear a turban when you're not in front of the camera? Yes. Of course. All right. Damn it. Not good. Hold on.